What's good in the hood, YouTube? This is Crazy Samurai 71 here bringing another video. Today I'm bringing a video on Uchuu Sentai Kyuranger episode 35. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to post this episode yesterday when I normally would because I had worked a 12-hour day and I really wasn't up to it. But today I'm definitely posting it, and next week it will be up by Monday for sure for episode 36. Anyway, this episode is called The Secret of the Universe's #1 idol, and it's a really, really good episode. In fact, it's one of my favorite episodes for the season so far, big time. I really liked it a lot. So as far as things go, this episode begins with the Kyurangers listening to some music from a concert that Hoshi Minato performed at. And you maybe think to yourself, Hoshi Minato, who is this guy? He has a weird look to him, and he's actually kind of interesting because of the fact that who he's being played by. You see, Hoshi Minato is actually being played by the same actor that played Maji Yellow in Maji Ranger, which in America was Power Rangers Mystic Force, and he also played I believe it was Beat Buster in Go Bust, in Tokyo Sentai Go Busters. So that's a pretty big deal. From Maji Ranger he was Tsubasa, and from Go Busters he was he was Masato Jin. Yeah, I was right, Beat Buster. I just want to double check that. So yeah, so it's pretty cool because this is like actually his 4th season where he's shown up in it. Actually, that, and then if you include like any of the crossovers between seasons, because then you add like another a whole bunch of seasons. I mean, it's crazy how many seasons he's actually been in, because he was in the Ninja, he was in the crossover episode for like the Maji Ranger / Deca Ranger, the Maji Ranger / Bokanger, the Go Busters / Gokaiger, he's been in a lot. The Gokaigers, the Go Busters, and Kyuranger. He's been in a bunch, and it's crazy to think about how much he's done. But anyway, the thing is that there's apparently this concert going on, and when they play the song, Hammy listens to it, and she notices that it says release your emotions, which is something similar to what Akibanba said to Naga back when he turned into Hibitsukai, like Dark Naga. So anyway, they want to look into it because they feel that maybe he might be connected to dark matter. So they end up going to the planet, which is planet Peacock, to go figure out what's going on and try to figure out information about him. So what ends up happening is that they head there and they have to disguise themselves. So they dress up. Let's just say this: Lucky, Naga, and Hammy dress up as like pop stars, and Tsurugi dresses up as this guy like with a boa who is supposed to be like kind of their manager, and then you have like the more serious but goofy looking Spada who's dressed up as another kind of manager character. And when they try to go into the location where Minato is performing, they're stopped by the Endeavors, and then Tsurugi and Spada have to explain to them that these are internet stars that are auditioning for Minato's next idol audition or something like that. And so eventually they let them through. So then what ends up happening is that the Kyurangers head through the hallways, and they find Minato is being guarded by some Endeavors and also by this woman. The woman stops them in their tracks and says, "What right do you she ends up asking, why are you here?" And they end up saying that, we're here we need to talk to Minato. And she says, "You have no right to talk to him." And so then she tells the others to get them away from him, and then Minato goes onward. And what they notice is that Minato doesn't seem corrupted or crazy. He seems pretty neutral, pretty calm overall, meaning that he hasn't been affected by Akibanba. Because when Akibanba affected people, including herself and others, including Naga and the other people that were put under her spell, they went berserk, as opposed to him, who he seems pretty calm and collected in comparison, meaning that you can't suspect anything. So then from there, they also mention how they have to keep a constant guard of things. Akibanba, because we end up seeing Akibanba later on, who is trying to tell the Endeavors to really keep a close eye out for the Kyuranger. So then, after the Kyurangers end up being escorted elsewhere, they end up discussing that it seems that Minato it doesn't seem affected, so they think it wouldn't make much sense to use the Microscopium Kyotama to go in and get rid of these, maybe a mini, like a microcellular Endeavor, because he doesn't seem affected that way. So instead, they end up getting the Arandanis Kyotama, which is this Kyotama that can show the truth about a person and reveal what's really going on. So when they get it finally, which it's like sent down to where they are from the Orion battleship, they end up holding it out, and suddenly we end up seeing these Endeavors that notice them, and they notice the Kyotama, and they realize, hey, that's from the Kyurangers. Hey, they must be part of the Kyurangers. So then at that point, all of them have to fight, and there's a whole bunch of things brought up about how Minato may not be good, and the thing is that Hammy is full of emotion because of the fact that she has a connection to him, because later on we end up seeing that she ends up running off crying, very emotional and everything, and she ends up speaking to Naga about how she feels terrible for how she ran off and everything, and the emotions that she's feeling, and how we finally get to see some actual backstory to Hammy, which is something that people have been requesting forever. And again, this has happened before, where certain characters don't get big backstory until late into the show. It's just interesting because it's she's the one character that people were hoping to get sooner. But then I think back to Don Don or Doc from Gokaiger, where we didn't even get his backstory till the very end of the show. So again, not as bad as it sounds. Anyway, the thing is, she basically explains that when she ended up having to leave her planet, she noticed that everywhere she went, dark matter was in control, and she was losing hope. But one day when she was walking down one of the streets, she ended up hearing some music that was gorgeous, and she loved it. And it was Hoshi Minato playing before he was famous. And the thing is that the music really synced into her. It really gave her hope. It made her feel good, and it made her empty heart feel whole. So, and in a lot of ways, it pushed her forward, as opposed to ruining her feelings. But eventually, after that happens, he mentioned to her how this is she asked, well, why are you playing without anyone around? And he says, if I play, then that at least pushes me forward towards people that may want to come and listen to me, and it's all about just feeling the right way about it or something like that. And it's a really nice moment. And in general, they talk to each other, Naga and Hammy, trying to justify each other's feelings, and Naga really cares for Hammy and understands that she feels bad for what she did to him in the past, but at the same time feels that a lot of it really has to do with Akihanba, and he feels terrible that that his emotions led to the results that they did, yet at the same time he understands where she's coming from. Eventually, though, they come to the realization that they have to deal with it, and that they're gonna go and perform for Hoshi Minato and try to figure out what's going on. And at that point, what happens is we end up seeing the crowd and staging area where Hoshi Minato is listening to different performers audition, and we hear one audition performance that's really short, and Minato doesn't like it, so then that guy's let go. But then the three that are from the Kyurangers, which are Lucky, Naga, and Hammy, end up performing for him, singing his song wholeheartedly. Which what happens is that Hammy sings it while Naga and Lucky dance to it, and she sings pretty well. It's something that's kind of cool because they call it like triple Q, and what's also nice about that is that in a lot of ways it's kind of a throwback sort of to like the G3 princesses from Go Anja, although in that case it was 3 girls and it was a little bit different, although they did have the G3 princes, but that was something else. Again, this is a kind of a melding, so that's another point to consider, but it is interesting to see that. So they do sing and everything, and afterwards Hoshi Minato doesn't immediately like it, and Hammy, and like he also says, like, I don't really recognize that I've done so many different things in the past. And then she goes off stage trying to talk to him, basically saying that, you know, this was a song that brought up my spirits and gave me hope, and this was before you had become big, and I always remembered this song. And she tries to really defend herself, but then the manager kind of gets annoyed, like, what's your deal? Why are you like this? Why are you so into like getting his attention and everything? And eventually what ends up happening is that the manager calls security, which means the Suyo endeavors to go and attack the 3 of them on stage. But then we end up seeing Balance and Raptor come out of nowhere come out from the audience in these bear costumes or whatever, and they then transform into their Kyuranger forms to fight the Endeavors. And in the meantime, Tsurugi, Lucky, Naga, Spada, and Hammy try to get everyone that's in the audience away so that they don't get hurt. So then, following all of that, we end up seeing Hammy use the Arendanius Kiltama to figure out what's really going on, and they discover that what's really happening is that the manager is really Akibanba, and the reason why and what's happening to Hoshi Minato is that he's being controlled by Don Armage, which is crazy to think. Like, wait, Don Armage is right there? So at that point, Don Armage, like, Hammy does do a blast to knock Don Armage away from holding on to Hoshi Minato's control, and then he's knocked into his seat. In the meantime, Akibanba reveals herself, and so does Don Armage, which at that point Don Armage turns big, and that's when Tsurugi and Lucky, after everyone transforms at that point, which we see all 7 of them transform or are present together, what happens is that Tsurugi and Lucky go to their mechas, meaning that Tsurugi summons Giganta Ho-Ho and Lucky summons Orion Battler to fight Don Armage. In the meantime, the other Kyurangers fight the Suyo Endeavors and the Endeavors, and then we see Naga, who's fighting Akibanba, and eventually, you know, he ends up bringing the fact that, you know, like, she mentions how, you know, you've never really learned emotion, you're still empty, and you don't understand it, and yet he says, no, you taught me emotions, and I'm angry now, and for that I will now, like, defeat you, like, I'm going to destroy you. So eventually what happens is that he ends up transforming into Hibitsukai Metal, which is cool because we haven't seen that since the episode that he was turned back into himself. So at that point, he ends up using it to fight Akibanba, and they do a team attack, and then eventually Naga goes in for a big slash attack, and following all that, they do finish off Akibanba. Unlike last time where she ran away, this time she was destroyed, meaning that all 3 Vice Shogun are gone. Then we end up seeing in the battle against Danarmage that the two of them fight. They also use the Orion cannon to fight Danarmage. And like Danarmage is really powerful, but the thing that he mentions is it won't matter if you destroy me because there are more of me. And what that means is that he is not the only Danarmage, and that the one in the past is a different Danarmage than the one that they were currently fighting at that moment. So the question was, how many Danarmages could there be? And again, we don't know. Not very clear, but in each case it seems that he has the same general appearance. And even if you kill one, doesn't mean that the other ones are getting weakened. They are their own beings. So again, very unclear as to what that means or how it's going to work in the end. It could be that there's someone above Danarmage even that we haven't even met yet. But it's definitely an interesting thing to note. So eventually they do finish off the second Danarmage, and the question obviously is, what's next? Well, after all that is said and done, Hoshi Minato thanks them for their services, and he says, like, I feel like I've woken up from a long sleep, and I thank you for all you've done. And eventually Hammy, replies to him nicely, and then he goes on his way to create new music again as himself, rather than being controlled by dark matter and doing things for them. So then, obviously, the assumption is they go on the ship, and then we end up seeing the preview for episode 36. 36 is going to be pretty good. It is going to give some backstory on Lucky again, and in this case, it seems that they're gonna that the Kyurangers are going to be going to Lucky's planet Luth, and they're going to deal with a Endeavor attack with a new original design. So you Endeavor kind of monster or whatever. And also he is going to be getting his auxiliary Zord for the season. You may think to yourself, what do you mean? So obviously, as we know, his main Zord is Shishi Red. Is the Shishi Red lion that he has. In this case, he has another one that he'll have, which basically means that he doesn't always have to have like his typical Voyager. He has another Voyager option that he has. As far as whether or not that means both can be used at once, it's not very clear. But I mean, as far as toys go, definitely. I mean, there's 9 Kyurangers that are part of the original assortment, which means that technically they could have, Kurino, and then they could have this other version, because 4 for each. You could have it where it's like Champ, Lucky, Hammy, Naga, and Balance, and then you can have it where it's someone else controlling the other one, and then you have like the other 4 that are part of the original assortment, making up the other one. So in other words, technically what that means is that there could be 5 mechas out at once, which is crazy, which is so crazy to think is the case, but it totally is a thing that could happen. Again, I'm not even sure whether or not Kyutamajin works in this form, but if it does, that's another point. So I'd love to know your guys' opinions. Are you guys looking forward to this episode? I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Please remember to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. So until then, guys, I'm Crazy Sarah 71, and goodbye, guys.